Comrades and friends, welcome to the program Global Weekly News, serial number 197. Item number 1, Russian oil for Cuba. 730,000 barrels of Russian oil have arrived in Cuba after 3 months of a total oil blockade imposed unilaterally by the United States. Despite the tightening of the US blockade, countries and people across the world are standing with Cuba as it faces acts of war by the United States. Mexico, China, and many other countries have come forward to help Cuba. Brazil government has decided to send food and medicinal products to Cuba. Indian government and Indian people shall also show solidarity in action. Second item, comrades. South Asia faces severe economic crisis due to war on Iran. The US-Israeli war on Iran began over a month ago on 28 February. Over 2,000 Iranians were killed. Tens of thousands were displaced. Iran's civilian infrastructure like schools, hospitals, and recreation centers were targeted. Casualties from Iran's retaliatory attacks have also been reported in the neighboring Gulf states and Israel. The war has global impacts, causing a dramatic increase in the price of crude oil, effectively shaking up the entire global economy. The neighboring South Asia region was affected more due to the number of South Asian nationals within the Gulf countries and the Gulf being the primary exporters of fuel to the region. There are over 2.1 crore South Asians living or working in the Persian Gulf countries. Out of the over a dozen people killed in the region so far by Iranian retaliations, at least 10 are from the different South Asian countries. The violence and instability has prompted many to attempt to return home. But if a large scale return migration were to happen, it would disrupt the lives of millions in South Asian countries because for most of these families, jobs in the Persian Gulf are their only source of income. Iran's pressure tactic to close off the Strait of Hormuz has also disrupted trade in energy and other commodities between the two regions, creating a major shortage of gas, petrol, and diesel in South Asia. This has already pushed the prices up, forcing many countries to adopt emergency measures to control consumption, such as shortened work weeks, suspension of schools, and more. These measures further disrupt domestic life and industrial production. The energy crisis is also coming just as summer approaches in South Asia when the demand for energy will typically rise. The countries have only limited oil and gas storage facilities. Supply of essential fertilizer is also affected. Exports to West Asia are also affected. Let us look at the countries position. India. Iranian fuel supply to India is affected due to Iranian oil production disruptions. The shortages have forced the Indian government to initiate various rationing measures. Apart from cutting supplies to commercial enterprises and prioritizing domestic consumption, India also reintroduced kerosene as an alternative to cooking gas for domestic use years after it was discontinued due to economic, environmental, and health reasons. A large number of industries are already suffering from the inadequate supply of commercial gas, causing partial closures of industries and unemployment for hundreds of thousands of people. Lakhs of roadside hotels and eateries in various cities have been forced to shut their businesses due to shortage of cooking gas. Many shift to wood or other highly polluting materials. The fate of nearly 90 lakhs Indian migrants working or living in the Persian Gulf hangs in the balance. The majority of the migrants killed in Iranian retaliatory strikes in the Gulf region are Indians. Next, we go to Sri Lanka. Fuel prices have gone up 33%. The cost of public transportation and the price of other commodities have also gone up. The crucial maritime trade route is seeing congestion at its ports, delays, and the cancellation of some of its exports as well. The government has now implemented an additional holiday in the week, that is on Wednesday. Apart from Sunday, Wednesday also will be a weekly holiday. Though Iran has offered to supply oil to Sri Lanka, it has been unable to do so due to shortage of its own vessels and is now depending on India and China for transportation of oil to Sri Lanka. Over 6.5 lakhs Sri Lankans work in the Persian Gulf region. Next, Bangladesh. Bangladesh is already facing a shortage of fuel and long queues at oil stations with the growing cost of imports. The government proposes to shut down schools and holding classes online as well as adding extra holidays in the week and work from home options. The government has issued restrictions on the usage of electricity in government offices. Nearly 50 lakhs Bangladeshi citizens live and work in the Persian Gulf region. Next, Pakistan. From April, there is virtually zero availability of liquefied natural gas (LNG). LNG is used to produce nearly 20% of all electricity in Pakistan. Fuel prices have gone up. 1 liter of fuel costs $1.2. More than 90% of energy needs of Pakistan are fulfilled by imports from the Persian Gulf region. Schools and colleges are shut down. A quota system for fuel distribution is introduced. Over 50 lakhs Pakistanis live and work in the Persian Gulf region. Next, Nepal. Nepal is facing a shortage of cooking gas and oil. Prices have gone up. Due to the expansion of the war in the region, thousands of Nepali citizens wishing to travel to West Asia in search of jobs are unable to do so, while those already in the region are facing the grim situation of returning home to safety. Nearly 12 lakh Nepalis live and work in the Gulf region and send remittances, which form a crucial point of the country's gross domestic product, nearly 25%. Third item, comrades, very important item. No kings, no wars. The protest wave is against Trump. Donald Trump said in mid January 2026, one way or the other, we are going to have Greenland. He said in March, I do believe I will have the honor of taking Cuba. Such is the atrocious behavior of Donald Trump. In United States, dislike of Trump is on the rise, which with only a one-third of the population approving of his second term as president. The poll conducted by University of Massachusetts found that the reasons for the dislike are several. Inflation, stock market declines, government shutdowns. Government shutdowns means closing non-essential departments and throwing people out of jobs. And of course, the war against Iran. One need not just look at polls to grasp the reality of the dislike of Trump. It is there on the streets. On 29th March, 90 lakh people, 9 million, 90 lakh people joined over 3,500 discrete protests in every state of the United States as part of No Kings rally. This is the third such rally. The first on 14th June 2025, which drew 50 lakh people, and the second on 18th October 2025, which drew more than 60 lakhs. Trump promised no more foreign wars and said that the money wasted on them would be put aside to assist the tangible problems faced by the working people. As with every other US president, Donald Trump betrayed that promise and entangled the US in different forms of war on every continent. The idea of no kings reflects the rejection of monarchy that provided the vocabulary for the American Revolution of 1776 against King George III. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Wing (ICE) has been identifying foreigners living or working in the United States and trying to deport them in a very cruel manner. In the protests, slogans were raised against these actions. Many raised slogans in support of Palestine as well. The informations of the protest rallies were disseminated rapidly through social media platforms. The main media also could not block out the news. Item number 4, Trial of Nicolas Maduro. Nearly 3 months have passed since Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, Flores, Celia Flores, were kidnapped from Venezuela. Since then, they have been held in detention in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York, as the US government builds its case against them to substantiate charges of narco terrorism and drug trafficking. A key irregularity has been raised by the defense of Maduro and Flores: the restriction on the payment of legal fees. Due to the extensive unilateral coercive measures imposed by the United States against Venezuela, the government of Venezuela is unable to transfer state funds to the United States to pay for the legal defense. In the days immediately following their capture, the Office of Foreign Assets Control had granted a license to permit the legal defense of both the president and Flores be paid by the Venezuelan government. But hours later, the same entity revoked the license for the payment. The defendant constitutional right, the defendant's constitutional right to defense is being undermined by the US government. In a letter to the court dated 20th February, Venezuelan President's attorney Barry Polak had stated that Office of Foreign Assets Control is interfering with Maduro's ability to retain counsel and therefore his right under the Sixth Amendment to counsel of his choice. The case came up for hearing on 26th March before the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York. 92-year-old Judge Alvin Hellerstein accused the US government of using alleged foreign policy considerations to violate constitutional rights. He asked, "What is the interest of the government now in blocking Venezuela's funds?" US Attorney Kyle Wirsba responded, "National security and foreign policy." Judge said the oil is important because of the temporary closure of Strait of Hormuz. Last week, after Venezuela and the US re-established diplomatic ties, Venezuela reopened its embassy in Washington, D.C. The office had been shuttered since 2019 when Trump recognized Juan Guaido as interim president of Venezuela. Due to the dynamic geopolitical situation, the US Israel war on Iran has forced the United States to reconsider sanctions on Venezuelan and Russian oil. Comrades and friends, item number 5, attack on Lebanon by Israel. Civilians, journalists, health workers, and United Nations personnel in Lebanon have been systematically targeted by the Israeli occupation forces with total disregard for international humanitarian law. The Lebanese Health Ministry revealed in a statement issued on 2nd April that 1,247 people have been killed and 3,680 others injured since Israel escalated its aggression on Lebanon on 2nd March. Item number 6, comrades. Israel mandates death by hanging for Palestinian prisoners. The Israeli parliament approved on 30th March the third and final reading of the controversial bill that mandates the death penalty by hanging for Palestinian prisoners convicted of killing Israeli individuals. The bill passed with 62 voting in favor, 48 against, and 1 abstaining. Even before the October 7 attacks, thousands of Palestinian prisoners were held in inhuman conditions, with many facing imminent risk of execution. Following October 7, Israeli authorities took away the fundamental rights of visits with the lawyers and family. The denial of basic sanitary conditions like showers and decent food, and increased weaponization of sexual violence against detained Palestinians. The law has raised concerns among many international human rights groups for many reasons. First of all, based on international law, the West Bank and the Gaza Strip are occupied territories where Israel, as an occupying power, has no jurisdiction over the Palestinian population. Secondly, the provisions of the proposed law apply exclusively to Palestinians, while Israeli convicted of the same offences will not face the same penalty. In contradiction with international conventions, the bill does not allow clemency. It does not give Israeli military commanders the power to pardon, reduce, or overturn the death penalty. Furthermore, the execution by hanging would be carried out within a 90-day time frame after the final ruling with severe restrictions on appeals. United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights denounced the passing of the bill and said that it raises the unacceptable risk of executing innocent people. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation condemned the move. The organization affirmed that it is the violation of international humanitarian law, particularly the Fourth Geneva Convention. Mass protests erupted in different cities over the globe against Israel's new act. Item number 7, comrades. 5 lakh people stand up in solidarity with Palestine at London. London witnessed one of its biggest ever marches against the far right on 28 March, with at least 5 lakh people joining the event. The demonstration was organized by hundreds of groups, trade unions, climate justice organizations, anti war alliances, and community organizations in response to strengthening racist narratives and hatred in Britain. Keir Starmer's Labour Party continues to lose support over austerity and war policies that have worsened living conditions in the United Kingdom. Many participants and speakers emphasized solidarity with Palestine. Progressive and left politicians were also among the massive protests. Lastly, comrades, African movements express solidarity to Cuba. Across the African continent, progressive movements, grassroots organizations, and pan African networks are rallying in renewed solidarity with Cuba. Caravans of medicines and food supplies are being mobilized. A solidarity letter was released in coordination with Pan Africanism Today and over 35 political parties and popular movements across Africa. The letter copies were delivered to Cuban embassies in all the African countries. Thank you, comrades. Lal Salam. See you next week.